Well, first of all, we want to welcome you to the Fenton Chamber of Commerce virtual series. Our goal for our members is to make sure they're informed, they can engage and connect with other chamber members. I'm Karen Fox, better known as Karen the Connector, and I'm a sales and marketing growth strategist, and my position at the chamber is the VP. And so today I am thrilled and privileged to be able to do this, and I want to bring on here Will Hanke, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. Will and I have known each other for a long time now. We've worked together on projects together. We're on boards together. And I can't tell you all the greatness that you're going to get today. But Will has two passions. He supports our U.S. veterans and helping businesses tell their story online. I will definitely back up the fact that he supports veterans because him and I both donate our time and energy to help a veteran company right here in St. Louis. And so with that, what Will does is he helps his clients get more exposure, more customers, higher revenue. In over 20 years, his company, Red Canoe Media, has helped mom and pops, startups, multi-million-dollar companies, all with their digital marketing strategies. He's an avid business and marketing blogger and has published several ebooks, including an Amazon bestseller in marketing. Today, I bring you this amazing SEO guru, my friend Will Hanke. How's that, Will?
Well, thank you for that. That sounded like a great introduction. I wish I would have wrote that. Well, I'm going to share my screen. Thank you again. I appreciate it. And yeah, if we do have questions along the way, go ahead, post those in. Karen, feel free to interrupt me, and we'll make sure that we get all the questions answered before we move on to the next thing, if that's okay with you. All right, so let me know if you can see my screen. Are you able to see that, yes. Karen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yes.
Fantastic. Good. So today we're going to talk about the new SEO formula and how you can maximize your leads using some of the latest internet strategies. So as you know, SEO is always changing. It's always doing something new. There's always something that stopped working and something new that Google's doing now. So we always kind of have to keep up to date. So that's the purpose of this this kind of training, if you will, today. We're going to talk a little bit about all the different things that have changed, updated, and this is all part of what we call our digital dominance method. And there's all kinds of pieces to it, right? As a business owner, you know that it's not just you just put up a billboard and everybody comes, right? Or you don't just run a radio ad, or you don't just put up a website. And suddenly you just can't keep up with demand, right? It's a great idea, but it doesn't work that way. So, so this is all part of what we call our digital dominance method, which has all these different pieces in place. Today, we're going to be talking, of course, mostly about the SEO piece of that, and I'll go into that a little bit more into detail. About me, we're a veteran-owned company. We're family-owned. This is my daughter, Amber. This is her and I winning the Future 50 Award in 2018, I think, for one of the 50 fastest growing businesses in St. Louis. Was very excited to have that and to be able to share that with her. Probably about 2 weeks ago, this came out that we were voted one of the best SEO St. Louis companies as well, right at the top of the list. So I was very excited about that. And of course, I did some PR and stuff, right, to promote that out there. I had to squeeze it for all it was worth. So anyway, as I said, if you have any questions along the way, feel free to pop those into the chat. Karen is going to be monitoring that, which is nice because usually I'm always doing webinars and I'm always trying to monitor that at the same time. So it's kind of cool not to have to pay attention to that anymore. So, so real quick, does SEO or search engine optimization still matter? Well, let me show you something. Here is a search for St. Louis plumbers. And as you can see, there's some ads here, there's some ads here, then there's a map, then there's 3 local listings, and search engine optimization really gets you to the top of what's called the organic listings. And this screenshot I took earlier today, there's no organic listings even showing up. So that's could be a problem, right? Well, not really, because what happens is 71% of the clicks really go to 2 areas. Most people are ignoring the ads. So, gosh, Karen, 15 years ago, we used to, all of the websites online had those banners at the top, and they were flashing and they were doing stuff. And after a while, people got used to them and they started ignoring them. And there was a phrase created called banner blindness. And the same thing is happening now, really, with those pay-per-click ads we saw at the top. They're still working and they're getting a portion of the clicks, but most people tend to trust the organic listings, the top businesses in Google and this map area. We're going to talk more about both of these. So yes, SEO certainly does still matter. If you want 7 out of 10 people to see you when they're searching, then it definitely makes sense to be in there. This is a screenshot from one of our clients, and I took this particular screenshot for a reason. It's dated March 1st through the 28th. Was it today or yesterday? Very recent, right? And as you know, we're in the middle of this craziness. There's this pandemic going on, but this is a local business that does service, and they are non-essential. So they're closed down right now, but they are still actively generating leads and they are getting visits to their website. And look at this. Here is the listing of the different ways that people are coming to their site. 74% of them are finding them from organic search. So they're typing in a phrase related to that business. That business is showing up as one of the results, and they're visiting that. 4,400 visitors in almost 2 months, I guess, just a couple days short, but nothing else even compares to that. Here's their PPC. We're going to add the 1.81 plus the 0.1 to give them a whopping 1.91% of the visits are coming from paid ads. They're getting more traffic from referrals, from links, and from people just typing in their business name. So all that is really dwarfed. If you add all of these together, you're not going to get anywhere near the organic listings. So SEO definitely still matters, and you can't rely on pay-per-click by itself. A lot of businesses they think, well, we're gonna run ads and we'll start getting traffic, and that's true, you will. And right now, ad prices are about 35% cheaper than they were, a month and a half ago, because a lot of businesses have decided to pause their marketing. That's created a little bit of a surplus in ad inventory, and it's also brought a lot of the prices down because there's less competition. So I'm not saying pay-per-click is bad, it's fantastic, but it shouldn't be your main focus. So what are the 3 biggest changes that have been made in recent times? And if we start falling down this list, and your business was listed here and now it's falling down, these may be the reasons why. First of all, you can no longer get away with duplicate content. We'll go into each of these in a little detail. Secondly, low quality links pointing to your website can now hurt you. And third, you need a real physical office to rank well in the Google Map area. So of the 3 biggest changes, we can lump them into 3 different updates that Google made. And interestingly, they got nicknamed all something that starts with P. I don't know why, but they did. We've got the Panda update, and we've got the Penguin update, and we've got the Pigeon update. So I don't know what's going to be next. We'll have to think of another animal that starts with maybe peacock. Maybe the next one will be the peacock update. You like that, Karen? Does that sound okay? So the Panda update, really kind of addressed the duplicate content issue. And duplicate content really means that you can't start to basically take a page, duplicate it, change something. And one thing that a lot of people were doing is they would build a page about their business, and then they would change the name of the city and then put that up there. So the only thing that changed was the name of the city. And they thought, wow, we'll have 40 pages of content all about different places. But in reality, it was all the same content, and they ended up just kind of penalizing themselves for doing that. So that's a problem. Also, a lot of web developers in the last 10 years or so have built all these what we call microsites or blog networks. And they started building all these tiny little sites and linked them all together. And they tried to trick the search engines into ranking a business higher. And for a while it worked. But, Google's a fairly big company. They've got some pretty good brains going on over there. So they figured that out, and that's really no longer a way to do business. So every page on your site has to be unique from one page to the next. If you build city pages, and we'll talk a little bit more about city pages, but every one of those has to be unique. It has to talk about local events, so, or local businesses or landmarks. So you might talk about, if you're in Fenton, you might talk about Fenton Park or the Greenway Trail or River Chase. Those kind of things make more sense, and they're super local. Google's going to know that those other things are in that area, and they're going to give a boost to that particular piece of content for that reason. Now, let's talk about Penguin, which was more around low quality links. So a lot of business owners, and probably, again, 10 years ago, you could get programs that would just blast your link out to thousands of directories, and you could just turn this program on and let it go, and you'd get thousands of links. Well, the problem is all of those links really are being ignored by the search engines now. Really, this update is all about having quality and relevant links. So if you have let's take an example. You have a website where you sell lawnmowers, okay? If you got a link from Sears, that would be quality and relevant. If you got a link from lawnmowersorus.com, probably still relevant, but probably not a high quality link. So still relevant, just not great. So it's all about how much authority the other websites have that are pointing back to you, which makes the whole link building thing a little bit more crazy, right? So one of the things you can do is review your link profile, and there are all kinds of programs out there. We use one called Ahrefs, ahrefs.com. There's also semrush.com. There's a couple of good ones out there where you can see what links are coming back to your site. And by the way, you can even see this in Google Search Console, which is free. They'll actually show you what links are pointing to your site. And what you need to do is start to look at those links. And obviously this is a bit of homework, but look at those links and start going through them and see which ones are bad, which ones are just not relevant. And you can actually submit a file to Google saying, we disavow these links, or we don't want you to count these links towards our business. So, so that's one thing you can do to kind of combat the entire poor link situation, because you have no control over who's going to link to you, right? Somebody just decides to link to you and you get the link, and you can email them and say, hey, take that down. But the chances of them doing so are probably fairly small. So it's very important to diversify and build those high quality links. All right, the third thing is that you need a real physical office. And this is going to bum out some people that don't want to put a location in for their business and stuff like that. But it really is going to help your business get into that map pack area. The maps was the focus of the Pigeon update, and it really focused all on the local business listings. So anybody who had a fake address, a UPS store, mailbox, etc., any of those type of places. If you had a work from home address and you were hiding your address, that may have hurt you or started to hurt you now. You really need a real physical business address in the city where you want to rank for. So this is a little bit of a tough one for a lot of businesses, especially home businesses. Now, I've listed my home address for 15 years, and I've had one person show up one time, and he turned into a client. So, that worked out okay. But it was a local business owner who just had some extra time, stopped by. So putting your home address, not that big of a deal. And in this pandemic thing that we're in the middle of, I think working at home has become the new cool thing, right, Karen? It's the norm now. You see everybody on Zoom, and they've got their bedroom behind them or whatever it happens to be, because we're just trying to stay afloat in a lot of cases. So working from home, not a huge issue. And I want to encourage you, not to let that be something to stop you from getting into those listings.
Well, I have a question when it comes
Yeah.
to the links. Okay, for it to be relevant. Example, well, yours is kind of relevant with my business, but okay, say I interviewed someone who's a plumber.
Yeah.
And so I shared that and I put a link to their website on mine. Would that hurt them?
So it probably wouldn't hurt them. It just wouldn't really pass any value because it's coming from a social media type business to a plumbing business, right? So
Okay.
not necessarily relevant, but your site has a decent amount of authority. There's also something to say about authority. So if it's from these spammers can throw up these sites that just are just junk and they're just constantly getting links or giving out links. Those are the sites that you really want to disavow. If it's a legit business that linked to you that maybe isn't 100% relevant, I would probably go ahead and just keep that link. And yours is a perfect example of that. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Not at this time. Kelly, do you have anything at this time?
I do not.
Okay, let's go. So what else has changed? Well, a couple things. Old-fashioned SEO, no longer effective. I had somebody just the other day ask me if they could put white font on a white background and put in a bunch of keywords in their footer. No, that was something you couldn't do 10 years ago, much less nowadays. So Google's really smart about these about these things and about these tricks and all the stuff that we probably got away with a while ago. Some of us did, not me. I wouldn't do that stuff, but somebody would, I'm sure. So in the post-panda, penguin, pigeon era, say that 3 times fast, it's all about user experience optimization. So this is really the new thing, is looking at a website from how your user or your visitor is going to experience the website. So some of the new ranking factors include click-through rate, or how many people see your listing in the organic rankings and actually click on it and go visit your website. Google watches that. So they're seeing how many people click through to your website. Scroll rate. So how many people, when they get to your site, are they scrolling down or are they just looking at what you got there and hitting the back button? Time on page. So how long are they spending on your page? Something that's really interesting here is Google has an interesting thing called time to long click. And time to long click works like this. If you type in plumber St. Louis, for example, and you go to the first listing and you look around and then you hit the back button, Google sees that you came back to Google for that same search. Then you click on the second result. You go to that site, you come back. Google sees that you came back again. Then you click on the third result and you don't come back. You go to that website and then you close your screen or you call them or whatever happens. Google's watching those, what they're calling long clicks. So they're watching those and they're determining that, oh, number 3 must have answered that person's question about the query that they typed in. So it's possible that they would actually move that business up. If that kept happening, they would move that up. So time on page is a big deal. One way that you can help expand how long people spend on your page is by doing video. Video is a great way to expand the time, because they're going to have to stop and watch a video, whether it's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, however long. Bounce rate, that's what we're talking about when somebody goes to a website and then hits the back button right away. That is watched closely. And the last one, the number of citations, reviews, and links. So we've already talked about links. Citations are mentions of your business, but maybe they don't have a link. So the Fenton Chamber page, I don't know if the Fenton Chamber page, the business directory portion of that includes a link back to your business, but even if it didn't contain a link, Google's smart enough to know that this is a good authority site and these are businesses that they're talking about, and they'll actually count that mention on that site as a link back to your site. So that's called a citation. And then of course the number of reviews. So the more reviews you get, the higher you're probably going to show up in the Google Map Pack, or the 3-pack as we call it. So it's important to find out what your most important keywords are based on your product, service area, how many people are searching for these things. And these are all things that you can find in the tools I mentioned earlier. Another tool that's really good is, any of these: Keyword Tool, WordStream, SpyFu, Google AdWords. If you're putting together an ad campaign, they'll actually give you some data on how many times people search for something, that kind of stuff. You can use that Google AdWords keyword tool without running ads, but you can use it to get some data. There's another one that I didn't put on here, but fairly new, is called ubersuggest.com. That one's gaining a lot of popularity. It's got all kinds of great information. Set up a good website, obviously, and build those unique pages that are targeting those individual keywords that you want to rank for. We also mentioned earlier service pages, city pages. An example of a city page would be plumbing Fenton, right? Or plumbing Arnold. Those would all be different pages which talked about that particular city or that particular place. And there are people that type that kind of stuff in instead of just using the phrase St. Louis. They might type in plumbing Fenton. And if you're the only one that's even built a page on that, it's very likely that you're going to rank right at the top for that particular search. So great little hack there. Don't forget to optimize for user experience. This includes mobile. Make sure you're picking up your phone and making sure that your website looks okay on a mobile device as well, because if it doesn't, then you're going to lose potentially 60 to 70% of everybody that's searching for your business. Obviously, optimize for search engine optimization on your website. And we're going to talk a little bit more about those things in a minute here. Karen, are we doing okay on time?
Good.
Good. All right. All right. And then lastly, track your results. So here's some an example I took for window treatment company. Basically, you take every keyword that you think is going to get some good traffic, and people are typing these things in, and add your city to it. And now you've got a list of, what do we got here? We'll call it 20 different pages that you could build on your site. Now, the other cool thing is you can plug these keywords into different tools and track your positions. Where are you ranking for those particular terms? And over time, this list will continue to grow and get bigger and bigger as you continue to rank for more and more things. You're not going to run out of keywords. I promise you that. But you want to start ranking or tracking these and seeing where you're ranking in the overall index of Google. And of course, this is a nice shot here of a bunch of #1 spots, but that's not always the case, right? So I mentioned on-page SEO. These are things that you can do on your website to enhance what Google sees and thinks about your website. I mentioned one of these earlier, that's leverage multimedia. So consider using video, PowerPoint presentations, things of that sort. Anything that's a little bit different. Podcasts is a great way to kind of change up, versus just writing blogs. Use some of these different things that are out there and take advantage of them. Page for each of your service, page for each of your cities, unique content on every page. So that speaks to the what I talked about earlier, just building a page and changing the town name. Don't be doing that kind of stuff. Make sure that your keywords are in your title and your main heading, or what we call the H1 tag. And I'll show you an example of that in a minute here. Meta description that sells the clicks. So the meta description is a cool little 2 sentences that you can stick behind the scenes of your website. And that's what shows up in Google when somebody searches for you. So you can control that particular listing along with 9 of your competitors. So you want to write something that's compelling, something that, like it says, sells the click. When somebody types something in, they read that and they're like, oh yeah, that's what I'm looking for. And they click on that result over the other ones. Very important to have your name, address, and phone number in the footer. So this is something that a lot of businesses miss. Very important that you do this. And it's very important that your name, your address, and your phone number is always the same. So the big one here really is address, right? If your address is 123 Main Street and you type 123 Main ST, that's fine. But if you go to a different website and you type in 123 main STREET, that's different to Google. So when we're talking about getting citations from places on the web where they're mentioning your business, you want to make sure that all of those match: name, address, and phone number, what we call the NAP. Put that in your footer on every page of your site. That would be a good thing for you to do. And then blog with ongoing and consistent updates. So don't just write a blog once and forget about it for 2 months. But at the same time, don't write 4 blogs, 1 a week for 4 weeks and then stop doing it. Try to be consistent. So if you don't think you can take writing a blog every week, then just start doing it every other week. And that way you have more time, you're more consistent. And interestingly, I have a client who has published a blog every Monday and every Thursday between 5 and 6 a.m. And they've done this for years. And one of the things that we've noticed is we've actually trained Google now to know when there's going to be a new piece of content. And if we post something on Monday between 5 and 6 in the morning, I've seen it indexed in Google ranking in 18 minutes, which is just incredible. It's credible, but it's all because we've been consistent. We've trained Google that they know when we're going to put out a new piece of content. So very important. So this is a screenshot of my website.
Question on that.
Go ahead.
Okay, so is it better to post the exact same time every week or every other week?
I tend to, yeah. For most of our clients, we always post either on the first of the month or the first Tuesday of the month or whatever it is. And then as far as time, we usually keep it at that 5 to 6 in the morning range. And the reason we do that is just because if by, let's say, 9 or 10, the page is indexed, they're going to start getting traffic for that fairly quickly.
So if you do it on your website and you've already got your blog created, you would be better off to schedule it to make sure it comes out at the same time.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
That's what we do for all of our clients. So we publish, like I said, I don't know what day it is. It's the second Tuesday of the month or something like that, right? But we have a month to write something, get it up there, it's scheduled, everything's ready to go. And when that date hit, WordPress just automatically publishes it. Great way to do it. So thank you. So here's a screenshot of my website. And the important thing here that I wanted to show you is what's called your H1 tag or your heading tag. And it's right there under the flag. It says St. Louis SEO, digital marketing, content, paid ad experts. So you can see I put in my keywords there. What a lot of businesses do is they put welcome to Red Canoe Media, or welcome to our homepage or something like that, which is really nice and warm and fuzzy. But I'm more interested in getting clients that are looking for me, not ones that are going to feel warm and fuzzy. I can do that elsewhere, right? So it's very important to have your heading tags match what keywords you want to rank for. Here's another company, Sunshine Drapery in St. Louis. Their heading tag for their homepage is window treatments in St. Louis, serving Missouri and Illinois. So you can tell what they want to rank for. They want to rank for window treatments, St. Louis, window treatments, Missouri, window treatments, Illinois, those kind of phrases. And that's what they're ranking for. So that heading tag is very important. And that goes across to every page on your website, not just your homepage. Obviously, your homepage is the most important one, right? This is when I do a search for them, they show up in the map area. They show up first organically, and they actually, because their website is optimized so well, they actually got a second listing in the top 10, which is pretty cool because basically they've got another opportunity for eyeballs, right, to hit their link, and they've pushed everybody down 1 spot or 2 spots, I guess you could say, right? So having that second listing and optimizing your page can really be advantageous to you. So that was all on-page stuff that you can do on your website. Karen, are we do okay on time?
We're good.
I'm jamming. All right.
But we are eating up everything you're telling us. So we are right here with you.
Good. Okay. So the second piece is off-page SEO. These are things you can do on other websites to influence your own website, your own ranking, your own exposure, your own authority. So obviously first, claim and optimize your Google My Business listing. You do that at google.com/business. I actually just did a Facebook Live on this a couple days ago. They've made some changes to this with all the COVID-19 stuff. You can add in things like what they're calling attributes. So you could add in curbside pickup. You can add in, free parking, handicap access, all of these different things, which is pretty cool. Some of the different things that you can offer or that you can add in there now. But make sure that you claim that listing. Make sure that you optimize it, that you add your logo, that you add pictures of your business, that you add pictures of your products, that you add in your hours, all of these different things. When you get in there, you'll see, but fill it out as best as you can. Get lots of citations. Now this is just almost in passing, right? Just get lots of citations. Well, it's not easy. This is not an easy thing to do. Obviously, get one from the Fenton Chamber website would be a good place to start. But if you're in any other organizations, make sure that they are listing your website if they can. And then there are business directories in St. Louis. There are US business directories that you should be trying to get in all of those different directories. A lot of work and not something I should just mention in passing. Also, build up your online reviews. So this is a great way to really start getting more exposure for your business. If you ever look up, I keep using plumbing, so we'll stick with that. Plumbing St. Louis. If you see that 3-pack of map results, and we've got Bob's Plumbing with 58 reviews, 5 stars, and you got Joe's Plumbing with 20 reviews, 4.8 stars. And then you've got Karen's Plumbing. We know she's not good at plumbing, I would assume. And Karen's Plumbing has 2 reviews and it's 3.0 stars average, right? Who are you going to pick? Well, you're not going to pick Karen, right? I'm picking on you, Karen.
It's okay.
But that happens so often that, people see those reviews and they're making their decision based on the reviews that they see. If 58 people like Bob's Plumbing, it must be the place to go. And they're not even going to scroll down the page any further. They're going to choose that. They're going to click it, go to Bob's website, call him, whatever it happens to be. So optimizing that Google My Business listing is very important. And then getting those reviews is also very important. By the way, that link there, reviews.redcanoemedia.com, you can actually go there and get a review score about your particular business. Plug in your business there and it'll give you a PDF output of where you are ranking, what you're missing, all that kind of stuff. So pretty cool little thing. And then build authority. Go ahead.
Let me say one thing. Tasha said here, she would also add to have all businesses check their Google business listing. She's seeing Google close some businesses, maybe because of the pandemic, but either way, there are essential businesses and not closed. So go check that out, no matter what.
Yeah. Google did that a lot. They marked a lot of businesses as temporarily closed or permanently closed, or they just took them out. And a lot of that goes back to the fact that you hadn't claimed your listing in the first place, or you didn't mark whether you were in business or not. So yeah, good point. Thank you, Tasha. So
Kelly said here too, all chamber member businesses should search the directory on the FACC website, just as they would search in Google. Maybe you need to adjust the category that you're in, or maybe you need to alter keywords. But so everyone that's part of the Fenton Chamber here, you have that advantage. So go check it out and see what what information you put in there if you need to change it.
Definitely worth your time. Also make sure that your name, address, and phone number match where you're listing that in other places, so that everything is legit and you do get credit for that link. So fantastic. And then next on here is build authoritative links. So we talked a little bit about that earlier. And again, that's a big process to start getting links and reaching out to other bloggers, maybe to put some content on their site with a link back to yours. There's a lot of ways to do that. And again, pretty big piece of the pie. It's going to send some fantastic signals back to Google about your website, but not something that you can just flip a switch and do quickly. So the secret to getting ranked on the top of the Google map, really, we've seen a couple things. It's getting all these citations from other websites, and it's getting reviews. Those are the two big pieces that are going to move you up in the Google Maps system. And they only count the top 3, or that's all that shows up in an organic listing. So very important to be inside of those. So here's our example I used earlier, Sunshine Drapery. So they would want to get links from, of course, from Yelp, right, and Facebook, but they also could get links from their vendors, Hunter Douglas. They could get links from the Window Treatment Association, in this case, WCAA. All of those are places that you can get links back to your business or citations to your business. So think about who are your vendors and can you get listed on their site, maybe as a resource or something like that. There are a lot of tools out there that will help you track where you're getting links from. So definitely use one of those. And I mentioned some of those earlier on, but keep track of where you're getting links from, because you might rank fairly higher and not even realize you had a link. Like this first one here, KMOV. They were on KMOV. They put it out there. They put a link back to his business. So fantastic. That's going to be a good authoritative site that's linking back to them. So what do these particular results have in common? And we kind of already talked about this, right? They've claimed their listing. There's no spam in your company name. So that's something else I'm seeing. Businesses are putting plumbing in St. Louis, call us if your pipes are broken. You should really just put your business name there. And if you don't, you're liable to get kicked out of Google's My Business program, or a competitor might flag you. Very important that you just put your business name there. Lots of online reviews, of course. Keyword and title tag in your organic listings when you can. Lots of citations with a consistent reference to your name, address, phone number. I feel like I'm competitive, or repetitive. I'm competitive too, but being a little repetitive here, but hopefully you get the point. And then a solid link profile. So links around the web pointing back to your business is going to help. So overall, the new SEO formula is set up a great website with pages for each service, each city that you serve. Get your keywords in there along with what we call a geo modifier, or a location in the title of that page. Make sure that all of your pages are unique. Leverage multimedia when you can. Use video, podcasts, that kind of stuff. That's going to increase the time that people spend on your page, and it's going to reduce the bounce rate of people hitting that back button. Get those online reviews and build your citations, post updated content on an ongoing basis consistently, and build links and authority, of course, very important. And leverage paid search. So I don't want to not talk about Google AdWords and running ads, Facebook ads, those kind of things. They work well, but do it after you've started to rank organically. And I love pay-per-click as a supplement, right? So if you've got a couple different organic listings and then you can run ads on top of that, like I said, you're just going to get more opportunities at eyeballs on a page, which is great. So lastly, I think we're going to get into any other questions you guys might have. I'm happy to offer a free strategy session for anyone that would like one. You can get that at redcanoemedia.com/strategy. Lots of businesses right now are struggling. They are not sure what to do, but there's going to be a time here in a couple of weeks, maybe earlier, when we're going to flip that sign back to open. And it would be so nice to have some leads piled up and, as they're saying, pent up demand, right? As soon as we hit that switch to we're back in business, you're off to the races. So if you need help with that, just reach out to me, redcanoemedia.com/strategy. All right, Karen, do we have any other questions? I know I just blasted through everything, but I'm happy to go back and review.
Well, I have a question.
Okay.
How often should people be taking an audit of their website?
So I'd say, obviously, if you haven't done one in a couple of years, you need to do one. But after that, I would say a yearly review is always a really good idea, just so you can see what has changed from SEO. Are we still doing some of those old things where we need to take those pages down, that kind of stuff? At a minimum, once a year is great. And we can help you with some sort of an audit as well to really kind of, figure out what's working well, what isn't working well, what do you need to fix, and then, putting together some sort of a plan of attack so that you're fixing the best things first, right? And Google has 300 to 400 ranking signals. So everything you change on the site is going to, bump you up we'll call it 1/350th of a percent to move you up, right? So it's a lot of different things to get you ranked on page one. It's definitely possible, but yeah, Kelly, thank you for the question.
Great.
Well, Mary Trombley wants to know, when I have put in the word Fenton, it pulls up Michigan, MI, instead of MO. Should I stick to listing Fenton, Missouri instead of just Fenton? That's in our keyword section.
Yep, that's a good idea. So you definitely want to mention Missouri in maybe your homepage title or something like that, so that Google knows that you are not in Michigan. That's a really unique situation where they both start with M, right? It's MO, MI. So yeah, sending those signals to Google. So just put the word Missouri a couple different places. And of course, if you have your name, address, phone number in the footer with Missouri listed there, that will help as well.
Thank you. Will, let's talk a little bit about you right now. I know you have a membership site. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. I do. I have a part of my website which has over 100 how-to videos behind the scenes. That's called Red Canoe Elite. And you can just go to redcanoemedia.com/elite to learn more about that. Tons of videos back there. We do coaching calls. We have a private Facebook page where you can ask a lot of those questions. And it's been fairly busy lately. Some people asking some different questions in there. And the nice thing is, one business owner asked a question about something related to them, but it answers a question for every member, right? Because other people are like, oh yeah, I was thinking about that thing too. So, so that entire thing is great. I appreciate you asking about that.
You have a podcast?
Oh, I've got a podcast. I've got a couple podcasts. We've got one called Navigate the Rapids, which is all about various things from website hosting to analytics. We just talk about all kinds of digital marketing things. I also do one with my friend Andrew, who's out in California, and that's called Did You Know? And it's all about what's going on in the digital world. Talk a lot about social media changes and things that's going on there. So that one's pretty fun. You can find all of these at redcanoemedia.com. So they're all out there. And we haven't done one in a while, but Amber and I do one too, my daughter. That one's called Sink or Swim. And that one we haven't done in some time now, but maybe we should revive it.
Well, anyone who knows Will and knows Amber, they are on opposite ends of the spectrum. One is an extrovert, one is an introvert. So you get the best of both worlds there. Absolutely. Yeah. Very true.
Yeah, she's definitely pushed into the podcast situation against her will, I guess.
Okay, we have one more question here. What do you think of sending out Google review links as a part of your email signature?
I do it. Yeah, it's on every single email that I do. So we're using that Review System Pro, so it puts a 5 stars at the bottom of the page, and it says, what did you think about our service? People can actually just click one of those links right there. You can also send, postcards. If you're doing some sort of an in-home business, then maybe even having a little business card printed with a QR code that goes straight to your Google review page or something like that. Hand that to the client as you're leaving, and they're the most happiest. Is a good way to do it. It's hard to get reviews. It's hard to get reviews 3-5 days later too. So it's best to get those and request those reviews immediately. The other thing about reviews is you want to make them a little bit natural. So you don't want a ton of reviews all in a short period, all on the same network. So maybe gets Google, right? You want to stretch them out. You want some on Google and then some on Yelp and some on Facebook and all these different platforms. It looks more natural to the search engines that way. And it probably is more natural, right? You can only ask your mom and your aunt and your uncle so many times, and then you're out of people. So you got to start having pretty good customer service after that.
So funny. Okay, I've got another question here. First of all, I don't know if I said it, but Tasha said, thank you, Will, great content.
Good.
But the next one says, does the metadata have the same impact as text on the front end of your web page?
Okay, it does not. It does influence it, but it influences it in a different way. So text on your site is going to influence Google pretty good. Metadata is more for them just to share your website or show your website to other people. It doesn't have a huge SEO impact. So for instance, your meta description, that is not really an SEO factor, but it's what shows up when somebody searches for your company. So you want to write it in a way that's compelling so that you get the click, because when you get that click, then Google's watching, right? And they're seeing how long somebody, how often somebody goes to your site, how long they stay, all of that kind of stuff. The other thing behind the scenes, metadata related, is what we call open graph. And that's where you get into signals that you can send to social media networks. So, hey, Facebook, use this picture as our featured image and use this title and use that information so that when somebody does share your website or some blog that you wrote or something like that on some social network, it looks consistent, it looks good. So it maybe not necessarily an SEO ranking factor, but definitely something that's influential in your brand.
Okay, Nathaniel's asking, what would be the major difference between meta description versus meta keywords? I'm assuming meta description is more conversational.
Yep. So meta description shows up in Google when somebody types in whatever your business is, or types in plumber St. Louis and you're one of the 10 results, right? Meta description shows up those 2 sentences underneath there. Meta keywords is something that probably 10, maybe 12 years ago, all the search engines started ignoring. And the reason for that is because, back in the day, I heard of stories of people who would put Paris Hilton and Britney Spears and all these different things in their meta keywords just to get the traffic, right? Because you could really influence Google and you could get all that traffic. Now, if I did that for Red Canoe, I'd get traffic, but they'd be sorely disappointed, right? Because it has nothing to do with those particular keywords. So Google caught on to that quite a while ago, and the meta keywords are totally ignored by all the search engines now. In fact, we tell our clients don't even put it in, because the more keywords and code you have behind the scenes, the longer your page is going to take to load. So it's best just not even to put those keywords in there at all.
Okay, another question. How does your team handle keeping pages simple and easy to read?
I can't hear you. Sorry, it's cutting out.
Okay. How does your team handle keeping pages simple and easy to read while including as much information as possible to get the most optimal organic search results?
Wow, that's a fantastic question. So one thing you can do is put a paragraph or two about whatever that page is about near the top, and then break it up with a picture or something like that, and then put more content down below. So one of the things that's interesting about humans is we don't really read a lot of stuff, right? We're just kind of cruising through, scrolling. So that's where headings become important, because we're just looking at those headings. But putting all that content on a page for the search engines is a different story. The search engines are going to read it. They're not impatient like we are, right? So having the bullets or something at the top of the page, maybe a picture or something too, to break it up a little bit, and then putting more content below. There are some people that will read it, but most people are not going to, but that kind of solves that situation. Google also looks at what they call above the fold. So before you have to start scrolling, what kind of content does the visitor see? So very important to have, a paragraph or two of good keywords and good content, and then put the rest of it below that.
Kelly said, what kinds of things does Google look for when determining credibility of your business and our website?
Yep. So after you've done the on-page stuff that you can do to tell them the right signals about your website, then it really comes down to citations and links. So links from other websites are like votes. So the guy with the most votes typically wins. So that's really it. You know, it comes down to link building, getting guest blogs and finding other websites that are linking to a competitor that doesn't exist anymore and asking them to change that link to point to you instead, that kind of stuff. There's lots of ways to get links, but that's a huge authority signal. It's just not an easy one to get.
Another question. Would you encourage those who are chamber members to list their website, the association/organization/chamber they are in? Does that lend credibility to their business? Would it help?
Does.
Okay.
Yep. Those we call trust signals. So having the Fenton Chamber logo, the BBB, those sort of things on your site, those are all trust signals that just make somebody who's maybe not sure if they want to do business with you, they see those and like, okay, this is a pretty trusted company. And I'd even go so far as to say having your social media active and up to date is a fantastic trust signal. I actually did I did some user testing one time for a client, and one of the questions we asked was, would you trust this company? And the guy that happened to be doing the user testing in this example was a younger guy. And when he got that question, the first thing he did was clicked on their Facebook profile and went to their Facebook page. And he said, yep, they're updating this. Looks like they're probably a legit company. That blew me away that was the first thing that he checked. And I think the younger crowd is using those other signals on these other platforms to decide if they're going to do business with you or not. Also, your About Us page needs to be not so corporate, right? It needs to be, here's who we are, maybe have a picture of you out in front of your store or whatever it happens to be, you know, come across as like I said, not so corporate. We're real people, we're real business owners out here just trying to make a living as well.
Will, can I piggyback on that real quick?
Yep.
So I'm in a younger age range. You know, I'm 31, and I will say that I do the same thing. I go to Facebook and I type it in, and I see that their last post was in 2016. You know, that doesn't lend a whole lot of credibility.
Yeah.
Or not necessarily credibility, but just business practices in general. To me, that's what I look for.
Yeah, blew me away when I saw that, but you know, that's because I'm old, I guess, right?
Let's not be talking about old.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Will, I'm going to ask one question. I don't know if you want to answer it, but where did Red Canoe Media come from? Where did the business name Red Canoe?
Oh, so I have a red canoe, and probably, 5 or so years ago now, 6 years ago, my business was called whereismybusiness.com. And I thought, wow, this is the coolest domain ever. It makes so much sense. If somebody, you know, where is my business? Yeah, where is my business? Why isn't it listed? And it sounded so good. But when I started doing press releases and stuff like that, it started sounding a little weird. Will from whereismybusiness.com. It just sounded weird, right? So I had a friend come into my office, and we put up these big Post-it notes on the whole wall. And we said, okay, let's come up with a new name. You know, and of course I said, what about like Red Canoe, something like that? Okay, maybe, you know, but then we started putting together words like upward and trajectory and, you know, arrow and all these phrases like that. And as we started marking them off, we just kind of came back to Red Canoe. And I'm a huge float trip fan. I have a website called floatmissouri.com, which is all about floating in Missouri. And I have a red canoe, and I actually went to a conference in Vegas, and I saw some of the sponsors, and there was, you know, orange widget, you know, as one of the sponsors, and blue widget, this, you know, sponsor. And I'm like, well, if they can do it, I can do it too. So that was what sealed the deal. And, I love my brand name. I think it's great. And it's really different. Everybody asks, where in the world did that come from?
I do love it. But I knew your background as far as your floating and all that. But
yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Is there any last thing as we wrap up here you want to share with them?
I don't think so. Maybe just make sure that you've optimized your Google My Business profile. I think that's probably huge. Google.com/business. really big right now, especially with all the COVID stuff going on. But once we get out of this and they kind of release that to the world, you'll be in a better position if you've already done that.
Oh, Will, I have a quick question real quick.
Yep.
I've been getting phone calls from, I guess, pretty much the same number about authorizing or claiming my business page from Google for the chamber, and it never seems to go anywhere. Is that a scam?
Most likely. Google's not going to reach out to you. Now, Google does partner with photographers in every major city. And what the photographers can do is come in and do a virtual tour of your retail outlet, that kind of stuff. So a lot of times photographers will reach out to you and say they're from Google, which they really shouldn't say, but they do because they're Google authorized or something like that. And really they're just trying to sell you their services. But Google reaching out and telling you to optimize that, especially if they're calling over and over again, I doubt it. You know, that's on you to do.
Great, thank you.
Well, thanks, Will, for your extensive knowledge, and thank you to all of our outstanding members and guests who have joined us today. The Fenton Chamber wants to be your place where you can be informed, engaged, and connect with others. Thank you all so much, and until our next virtual event, be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.